Howdy. It is cleanup day for me. So I'm so sorry about not getting to talk to you about this sooner, but I wanted to talk about how spring settings are really just suggestions. And what do I mean by that? Um, there's a suggestion. There's a suggested spring tension, but that doesn't take into account your strengths, your weaknesses, what you're recovering from or working on, or what the intention of the exercise this time around might be. So, one of the things I like to remind my clients pretty much always is that it's a great thing to try doing some of these movements on the least amount of spring tension that you feel you can control, to really focus on controlling our movements, not just what you're doing, but how you're going about doing it. And I think this is most obvious for me when we're on the reformer, mostly because how many of us have come to Pilates or tried Pilates with a lot of experience of the go heavier, personal record, personal best, lift heavy, and that generally just doesn't apply when you're using a reformer for most people. I mean, again, you will see people do things on super heavy springs, and that's not necessarily bad either. But spring settings are suggestions because the other thing is what's heavy for me might not be heavy for you. Maybe you do need more spring tension during your footwork, or maybe you need less. It's hard to make these suggestions to people sometimes, especially if they feel very attached to whatever spring setting they're using, whether it's that they've moved up and they're stronger, so they appreciate that they have a heavier two springs than the two springs they were using previously. But again, you can do a whole lot of things, a whole lot of ways in Pilates, obviously, without it having to be about pushing harder. If anything, I think Pilates in some ways is like intentionally kind of doing less. I don't think anyone's going to agree with me on that one. That's okay. What I'm trying to say here is that, there's this really, really smart Pilates teacher. Oh no, hold on a second. I just have to go turn that off. Because only I will go live with a timer set in the other room. Anyway, there's this really, really smart Pilates teacher, the Romana lineage, from Romana as well. And there's this post she made on her Instagram. I think it was the Open Access Pilates Archives. I will link it in the description shortly. She talked about there was this exercise, and I want to say that she called it threshing wheat. And essentially, it was very similar to a wood chopper in that someone would be standing on the reformer and taking the handle from down by the shoulder block up and standing. And the true test of strength was not if you could do it with 3 springs on, but could you do it with no springs? I don't really understand how the carriage moves back in a story like that. Maybe it's just on the lightest spring. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But it really got me thinking about how much I've always enjoyed mat Pilates as an opportunity to just use my own body, and ways in which maybe the equipment can be more of an extension of that versus me trying to make it a muscle thing. And if I am trying to make it a muscle thing, then I'm doing that on purpose. Anyway, all's that to say, make spring tension adjustments. If it's not working for you, it's not working for you for a reason probably. And usually less is more. Anyway, that's all. Spring settings are suggestions. The end.